I want to thank the IPA, though, for two reasons. Firstly, for bringing us together around what is the most consequential capital project that is on the table in the city of New York today. It is critically important that we create the time and space to really talk and think and plan together right now, because it is urgent, it is moving forward rapidly. And secondly, to frame the conversation the right way around 2053. Unfortunately, too many of our leaders in government are just focused on how do we fix the problem of today, patch things up, replace things, keep the same Robert Moses relics in place, and not think forward to the future that we deserve. Around how do we move freight? How do we actually achieve our carbon goals? And how do we finally integrate this infrastructure into our communities rather than divide it?
To IPA, it's very important that the conversation around the BQE not only be centered around the triple cantilever, and then that's all the conversations we've had. To see this, the graphic, to see 2053, is that there are folks out there that are truly dedicated and working on having a more holistic approach and comprehensive approach to infrastructure like this.
The earliest highways that rip through our communities are reaching the end of their useful life, and we're at a point where we have an opportunity to rethink what the jurisdictions are going to do, and hopefully communities are empowered to change the narrative from wounding to healing.
I'm here not with a EIS, but with a CIS. I believe we need community impact statements in regards to these infrastructure issues that we're concerned with today. When you talk about Lenapes and Canarses, you're talking about me. You have us right here in the room. This isn't third party. We're still in existence. What I think has been happening across the United States is that from the time of emancipation, we have been disorientated in my community. We've been disorientated by being moved from place to place. We moved from public housing and Indian housing into tenement housing, from tenement housing into 10 cities, from 10 cities into public housing. Public housing is public architect and infrastructure.
Not to mention about the last mile situation that's happening in our neighborhood. Amazon is taking over the back of Red Hook, which creates a lot of air pollution to people who are probably asthmatic, who can't breathe. Red Hook is full of older people. Older people have more trouble breathing. It's just not safe for them. It's a huge problem. And it's the same way by the BQE. The air pollution over there is absolutely nasty. It's a huge problem.
And I can't help but notice and get excited about seeing so many young people speaking for their communities and really taking part, really engaging, not in a superficial way. Because as you all said, we all recognize you are the future, and any efforts that we do today are for your generation and the generations after you. So thank you.
The triple cantilever is this 1.5 mile stretch of highway that is today's problem. But you know what? Tomorrow it's going to be the elevated section in Sunset Park, or it's going to be the sections in Red Hook or in Carroll Gardens, or the retaining walls of the trench are going to start to collapse. Each of these is billions of dollars of infrastructure investment. So this is the first of many. It's like the canary in the coal mine.
And I'd also like to thank IPA for inviting me to participate as well. And I actually really appreciate the intentionality in making sure that there's been lots of representation just as in terms of demographics of speakers, their level of expertise, their areas of expertise. So I really appreciate the intentionality and diversity of that.
The crisis of the BQE is not a crisis of tomorrow or 2026. It's a crisis of now. And it's a crisis of things coming together. It's a crisis of infrastructure decisions that were made many, many decades ago. It's a crisis of communities that got broken apart. It's a crisis of climate change. And it's a crisis of our ability to envision a future that is different than the existence that we have now. That we could live in a city where we are not being poisoned by the vehicles that move us around, that we could have our communities connected together, that land could be returned to people from whom it was taken, and that we could together have more housing, more green space, better transportation corridors than we have now.